Okay, so welcome and thank you for joining me with this and taking the time out. Would you
My
like to
pleasure.
introduce yourself?
Sure, my name is Cindy Sabell. I'm a longtime Bergen County resident, originally from the Bronx. That's very important to me, and it really is. And I am an ally for the LGBTQ community. I have many friends who are gay, and in my family, I have many friends, including my brother and his husband, my cousin and her wife, and I could just go on and on and on.
Okay.
So sometimes I'm a minority.
So, and I appreciate the Bronx because I was born in Manhattan and Washington Heights, and
Washington Heights, that's my other borough.
so even though I was born there and then 3 days later I was raised here, I'm from Manhattan. You know.
And
So,
I went to Washington Heights when I left home. I went to Washington Heights at 16 and found my real life
hmm.
um, from the projects in the Bronx.
That's awesome. And it's beautiful over there. It's really beautiful, that area.
Yeah,
I mean, we grew up every Saturday going to visit family and hang out, and was it West Fourth or something like that? We used to go right by the bridge, not far from the bridge.
so it wouldn't be West Fourth because that's
Yeah, I'm sorry,
all the way downtown. 184th,
something like that.
174th.
Yeah, my brain. I just came up with COVID, and my brain is just
Oh
really
no.
not working.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
that's why most of the videos are in my bedroom
Oh
with me in
no.
bed. I'm just like cold and miserable.
Oh, but you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah, and that's why I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I'm alive, so we're good.
Yeah, and I still have friends in the Heights.
Yeah. Well, I would like to ask you, what is your thoughts on the fact that Bergen County does not have an LGBT center?
I think it's one of the saddest things about Bergen County. We have some of the best services for other things. And when it comes to LGBTQ services, we have nothing. And having owned a school, there were children and families that could have used services, and we had no place to send them. I used to be on the phone endlessly with the, the center on 13th Street, asking them favors and asking them to help me out. But families can't go into the city, and they're not going to go into the city with young children.
Yeah.
Um, we have no services for parents to go in a centralized location to find ways to cope and come to terms with their belief system and loving their children. There are endless things that we need a center for, whether it's mental health, whether it's physical health. Our senior citizens, I know that my brother-in-law works with seniors down in Florida. We have nothing here to help seniors who are gay, um, LGBTQ, as they age. There's nothing.
Yeah. And the thing is that I'm noticing, because when I talk to people, it's automatic there is nothing, and that was me 2 weeks ago. But I'm finding out there are things, and there have been things, but no one knows about them. You have to fall into them. And the point of a resource center is connecting those dots. And we're not looking to do reinvent the wheel. It's just a matter of connecting the people who are doing that good work.
And Bergen County, each county in the state of New Jersey has a resource site. But when you look at the resource site, there's almost nothing centralized for LGBTQ services. It's piecemeal at best. And that's not fair. I mean, it's just not fair.
Yeah.
So, as an educator and having been a therapist, for me to have to spend hours and hours looking for the right service for the right family does me a disservice also.
Exactly.
So, it goes both ways. I want to provide the best possible service to my clients and to my families, and I can't.
Do you think that there's still very much a need, or do you think it's just like, because I'm not sure if I'm wording this right, because when I talk to some people, the thought is they're thinking LGBT is just getting the right pronouns is the need, or the bathroom issue, and it's like, oh, it's such a silly thing to worry about. Do
Oh,
you?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a real need. It's a real life need. And it's diminished in a great way when it's just about bathrooms. Oh, which bathroom should they go to? No, that's not the issue. And you disrespect a huge number of people when you say that. It's so much more than that.
Mhm.
And it's also about having a place for people to go beyond the police station, because when there's bullying, and there is, and I have a certificate in anti-bullying, and the schools especially say, oh, just report it. We have an officer. They don't have the knowledge, they don't have the expertise that a resource center would have. And that's not their job. A prosecutor's office is not where you go when you already have been traumatized.
Yeah. And just to be clear, because I know there's a lot of, I'm potentially thinking a lot of youth will see this, and we're not demeaning the struggle for youth when we're talking about bathrooms, because that's a real struggle, and that's a real
It's
need.
an absolute
Yeah, yeah.
struggle.
I mean, but what I was trying to say is that
It's
this is,
beyond that.
yes, yes,
Their struggle is beyond that.
yeah, yeah,
From my perspective, that's the tip of the iceberg.
yeah,
Um, you're outed when you're having to make a decision about which bathroom you're supposed to use.
yeah. So, what other real world things do you see in from your perspective, what other issues do you see that you may want to talk about? This is like your platform here.
Oh, wonderful. I think I think um, one of the other things is that we can't disregard the respect that's due everybody. If you can't take a pill if you're gay or LGBTQ, it's not a choice. There's still an underlying belief in many communities that, well, if you don't have to be this way. We need to re educate. we need to bring forth an understanding that this is not a choice. A 5-year-old did not sit back and say, I think I'm going to be gay today. I'm not in the right body. Or for an older person who has been living a dual existence and has finally gotten the courage to come out, and people come and say, because I know people that it happened to, well, why didn't you say something sooner? What happened to you that all of a sudden you decided to be gay? No, all of a sudden you didn't just decide to be gay.
Yeah.
You have lived a life of duality and pain, and you finally got the courage to be your authentic self.
Yeah.
People need a resource center where they get that support.
Yeah. And you know, it's just another thing I kind of want to highlight is, you know, being active in the community and an advocate for many different needs and people. You know, one thing I think people miss out on is that when you're talking about LGBT people, we are born into families that often don't want us or don't understand us. So there is no LGBT land. There is no LGBT country or people or something. So, you know, and if you're thrown away and you're left and you know, a lot of my community is thrown away at a very young age, as soon as they start, you know, identifying or showing that they're not, you know, normal. So our
Mhm.
people, you know, our culture is not, there's no place for it. There's no living, you know, there's no churches, there's no nothing, you know. So the history, no one knows about, you know, people don't know about Stonewall. People don't know about Lavender Scare. People don't know about Marsha P. Johnson, you know, and this is the struggle. So, you know, we need a
And
place
I
for that
think
too.
and that's what I was trying to say, and maybe I didn't say it right. We need a place where education can take place,
Yeah.
whether, regardless of what your lifestyle choices, straight people need education. They need to know about Stonewall and everything else. They need to know about how many funerals I went to in the 80s
Yeah.
because nobody knew, and how those funerals were hidden.
Yeah.
They need
Or
to
yeah.
they need to sit and watch Angels in America
Yeah.
and understand. They need to watch Boys in the Band and they need to understand,
Yeah. And also,
because that is, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I mean, and then to expand on that is, well, think that through. You know, we don't have elders in my community. I don't have elders because they're all gone. They're all dead.
Exactly.
So, you know, you need, like, everyone at your certain ages, you look to say like, okay, I'm struggling here. How do I get through this? What do I do? And you turn to your elders or you turn to, you know, history. There's no place recording our history. There's no place where we don't have elders. And we
Correct.
lost, you know, we lost a lot of people. I think we deserve to have some fighting chance to develop all these things because there's blessings from everyone. You know, every community has a blessing, and we're missing out on that.
Exactly. And I teach, when I teach teachers, I was a coach mentor for many, many years, that children stand on the shoulders of everyone who came before them, and that includes educators.
Yes.
And you're right, your community doesn't have elders. So where do you look for that information? And a resource center would provide that in a major way. And just like there's the Shoah Project for Holocaust survivors,
Yeah.
the gay community doesn't have a Shoah Project. And for those people my age who did survive and have witnessed, the allies who have witnessed, and those in the gay community who have survived, it is my belief, personally, that they have an obligation to the younger people to provide those stories. Stories are very rich, and throughout history, stories are what gave people culture and gave them the information they needed to progress more fully.
Yeah.
And to hear the music that came out of the time before you. And a resource center would have that and would be the outreach, because younger people are not paying attention. And they're not paying attention not because they don't want to. Their ignorance comes out of not having that place to go, not having those people that are there to put their arm around them and say, come here, let me tell you something.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being an ally, because it's so heartwarming to me to see, I grew up in Maywood. I grew up in this county, and it can feel very isolating, and it can feel very scary to live in this town. Even today, I'm married, I have a daughter, and we still worry. We walk as a family, even in Maywood, what's going to happen? How are the police going to react to us? How is we go to, we deal with stuff still today, and it's so good.
Absolutely.
It's so good to hear people like you,
Absolutely.
and it's really an honor to hear you talk. And thank you for being you.
Oh,
It's
oh,
true, it makes life better.
how
So
old is your daughter?
she's 10. She's 10 years old.
Wow,
Yeah.
excellent.
Yeah, we're waiting for
And
the
think what a
teenage years.
rich life she has because of you and your husband.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I think I,
Um, lucky is she?
I'm sorry, you cut the
Yeah, my daughter is now 33. I'm sorry?
yeah, the internet is going in
My
and out.
daughter's now,
See,
oh, my daughter's now 33. And because people in our family did die, she came to the funerals from the time she was maybe 4.
mhm.
Or I guess it's about that. My memory doesn't really function. But because it was important for her to know what was going on. And we raised her telling her that Ernie and Bert were gay because they were 2 guys that lived together.
Mhm.
And it was a perfect way to introduce the gay community to her. And I think she might have been about 10. And she looked at our family and our extended family. We have mostly a family of choice, as opposed, we have
Yeah.
blood family, but predominantly a family of choice. And she looked at me one day and said, "Is Uncle Yoram gay?" And I said, "Why are you asking?" She said, "I don't know, I'm just curious." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, and what about this one? And what about this one?" And I've never seen Uncle Billy with a boy or a girl. So what does that mean? I said, "It means he's just not in a relationship." But she went down and she didn't know who was gay and who was straight. And I was so happy that she had no differentiation. And, I looked at my husband and I said, I think we did good
Yeah,
because she couldn't care less. She still couldn't care less at 33. She doesn't know the difference. I mean, she knows the difference,
yeah, yeah.
but she couldn't care less.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
And I think going to the funerals was important
Yeah,
because she saw the value of life from a different perspective.
yeah. Wow. Well, thank you.
Um,
Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you.
oh,
Um,
thank you.
so we're about to wrap it up. I just
Good.
want to make sure, do you feel comfortable with everything you said here?
Oh, yeah, I'm comfortable with what I said. I hope I articulated it in a way that makes sense. I'm never quite sure. So you can edit whatever you want out.
Well, I'm not. I don't think I'm going to do much of editing unless it's necessary. And letting people words stand for themselves.
I mean, you may
Um,
not want everybody to know that we love Washington Heights and the Bronx. I don't know.
well, this
Although
is
it probably makes us who we are, and that's important.
yes. I mean, this is a project out of passion for me, and it is what it is. And it's the purpose is I've learned that it's hard. It connects more when you see a person's face telling a story and saying, "Hey, this matters," as opposed to
And
a bunch of signatures.
absolutely, it makes a huge difference. And this will be your, um, what do you call it? Your moth. Do you ever listen to the Moth Hour on NPR?
Yeah.
Okay, check out the Moth Hour because it's people tell stories. And there's another one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's similar to what you're trying to do, except it's about all different kinds of things.
Mhm.
And I think, or the Shoah Project, or the project where slaves gave their stories, which was really important.
Mhm.
I do think it's really important to have people of color in your project because you don't want it to be all old white women like me or
Yeah, I'm trying to reach out as many not think of the word, well, as broad of a spectrum as I can. So, many different incomes, many different ethnicities, many different genders, many different orientations.
absolutely,
And the idea is to show this is across the board, it impacts people. And also,
absolutely.
and also to show, if you talk to the people, and I've talked to some social workers who work with children and people like yourself saying it's happening to children, it's causing a problem. To say if you don't have the right components in place at the time when they're young, then you're going to see addiction, you're going to see homelessness, you're going to see all this stuff. So this is a way,
Big time.
yeah, and this is a way of fixing a great ill in our community and empowering a portion of our community instead of being dependent or growing into dependency on our services to be empowered to be functioning, healthy, parts of the community. Because people perceive LGBT people as being white, gay, effeminate men, and sometimes they think of a lesbian woman. But the truth is, we we don't have a lot of money. A lot of us are homeless. A lot of us are struggling just to live, and that's not shown. That's not the picture that's painted for LGBT people. You know,
Right.
so let's see the entire community and just what is it? Let's see what's here and let's deal with it. That's
Sounds,
my
sounds like a plan. It really does. And I think it's a really good plan and a really wonderful idea. And I will keep looking for people and keep in touch. And if there's any way I can participate or help, I only work in the mornings, so I usually have most of my days free.
Well, I think we're gonna have dinner one day. We're gonna have, because I want to taste your corned beef.
Okay, that
Well,
sounds good.
well, I think we're gonna end now.
Okay,
Let me
sounds,
stop the recording.